What's up everybody, I'm Mitch with Stone Coat Epoxy, and we're making some epoxy sandstone right now using Undercoat, 2 epoxy dye colors, and just your gloved hands. Stay tuned, enjoy the video. Alright guys, like I said, we're doing epoxy sandstone. Pretty simple project. It is just white dye, brown dye. We're gonna make a couple flavors of cream, a couple flavors of white, and a couple flavors of brown. We're gonna pour those out in a striated pattern. Often sandstones are kind of linear. They're all flowing one direction. You'll have variations of that, but kind of pretty much a horizontal flow. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna mix up Undercoat at about 4 ounces per square foot. I'm kind of on the cusp of having to do a tape dam or not. You really could get away with doing 4 ounces per square foot with no tape dam, but I really want my colors to stay tight. I'm gonna let that epoxy thicken up, and then I'm gonna peel this tape dam about 1.5 hours after mixing. Like I said, this project is very simple. This countertop finish, it doesn't get any easier. We're gonna tint our colors, we're gonna put them out, we're gonna blend with our hand, a little bit of 91% isopropyl alcohol out of a spray bottle, finishes this project perfectly, and this sandstone look has been around for a long time, and it's gonna continue to be around for a long time. It is very beautiful, and it goes with various color schemes in your home. You could do Stone Coat Epoxy right over your existing surface. There's gonna be a few prep steps you're gonna need to do before tackling the epoxy, so be sure to watch one of our videos. Actually, we'll leave a link in the description below to a couple of our favorite videos that teach you how to prep old countertops, or it's gonna teach you how to build brand new countertops at MDF. But now that our countertops are prepped or built, it's time to mix our epoxy. We're gonna pour in our Undercoat at a 1:1 ratio, and I'm gonna mix up 4 ounces per square foot of project. We'll mix for 2 minutes in a paddle mixer, scraping the sides and bottom midway through. Very important step. You always wanna start out with a very good mix. After we mixed our epoxy, we're gonna divide it up into separate mixing cups. That's where we're gonna add our colors. We're gonna go light cream, dark white, skim white. So think of it as whole milk and skim milk. In our skim milk, barely any color. And then we're gonna go solid brown and very light brown. Because in nature, sandstone is a very creamy, light, beautiful stone that we're gonna mimic. It's a cool aspect of Stone Coat Epoxy is you can actually mimic real stones for a fraction of the cost and do it right over your old countertops. Not all epoxies are created equal, guys. We formulated and designed this epoxy to be very durable, but easy to use for the do-it-yourselfer. We formulated this product to have 0 VOCs. That means no nasty smell. You could do it in a small bathroom with no need for a respirator. There is no volatile organic compounds coming out of this mixture once mixed. It's very important. Not all epoxy is created equal. We also extended the working time on this. You have well over 45 minutes to manipulate this product to get it to look just the way you want. Well, no need to be in a mega rush. Remember, we're just using 2 dye colors. Solid white. Let's mix that first. Put in my white dye. I'm gonna mix that with a popsicle stick. We cannot see the stick through it. That's what I want. So now I'm gonna take just my white epoxy stick and come into the clear. That makes it fairly milky. So I'm just gonna go half more. It wasn't really wide enough. Just dip a little bit. If I were to take regular white dye in there, it's really gonna go opaque fast. So keep from doing that. Just bring in some white into the clear to get it more milky. That is perfect. See how you could see the stick versus cannot see the stick, right? That's what I'm looking for. Now we're gonna do the same thing with our brown. If you wanna use the same stick, you don't wanna make cream, wipe off the white residue. So here, I'm gonna make, solid, full chocolate milk. So the brown will stay translucent. It can get dark, but it's always gonna stay translucent. Now I'm just gonna take my stick into the clear and give me a real light brown. Now I have a very translucent and a darker brown, but that's always gonna be translucent. Unlike the white dye, you can make that one pure opaque. You cannot make the brown dye all the way opaque. All right, now we're talking cream colors. We got our white, got our browns. Now I'm gonna make a white here. I'm gonna make it opaque white. Now 1 drizzle of brown, 1 drop. That's cool. That's a pretty color. I'm good with that. Now we'll make another shade of cream. Just, I want to shade a lighter one, so when these two colors hit, they already have a natural little contrast. They can marbleize within each other when I meld it with my hand a little bit. So I might add more brown to that depending on how I can make this shade. So again, I'll just dip into my brown. Let's try this. This is not going to be very brown though, because that's very lightly tinted to begin with too. So how about this? We'll come into some of this brown epoxy, scrape it off so I just have it on the one end. Okay, I like that. It's just barely any color, still too white. So I'm gonna come back in for more brown dye. So here's another pro tip, guys. Sometimes you don't know, right, if it's enough. So I'll drizzle into the other color. That's almost like white. Come in here, see, that's really close. So I don't think I have enough color. I'm gonna bring in more dye, tinted brown epoxy. And then what I'll do here, I'm gonna add just a hair more, like half a droplet. Actually, I'm gonna put the brown dye on my table and then bring my stick into it. So it's just the tip of it, because you can get too dark fast, guys. I've done it. Ask me how I know. Okay, I like that. We're ready to make this piece now. We have all our shades of color. I'm gonna set this down in front of me, and we're ready to build this piece, guys. I've let my resin drizzle out of my bucket, and I did that on purpose because I'm gonna use that material to wet my board down. I mean, it's not mandatory for this finish, but it's kind of a habit I'm in. And once you've wet your board down with some resin, your epoxy is gonna move and flow better than if it wasn't wetted down. And you could grab isopropyl on a towel if you're using translucents and you've got drizzles on there. Sometimes those drizzles and drops can show up in your finish. So if you don't want that, just wipe it down. I'm gonna take the remaining bit of this resin and just spread it out on my board. Not mandatory, but it's what I do when I have all the extra. Better than making a mess on my plastic. Okay, now we're putting down our colors, guys. This is simple, and I kind of make a base at first with the combo of all four of these. So we're gonna take a little bit of this epoxy. We're giving ourselves a nice little base of resin of all of our colors. I'm not using very much, just a small amount, because I'm going to smear this around and make a base. And then we start bringing in more prominent lines on top of that to take up the visual interest. It's almost just like every epoxy piece we ever do. And I already set myself up for success by doing small amounts of my darker colors, and I'm not wasting, because I know I want this a lighter finish. So I'm gonna not mix up the equal amount of dark brown, because I know that's gonna take over real fast. So I limit that, and I just give myself a little bit. So I don't really care how this looks. I'm just looking for a layer of epoxy on my board, but I keep the flow going the one way. I come over here, I'll rub sideways to get that, but then I follow it back with keeping that flow going. I'm not worried what it looks like much at all right now. This is just a background noise, and it's probably an ounce per square foot. It is not very much. Here's a pro tip: when you get a muddy hand, see that? Now you're not just putting all that resin into your paper towel. You could apply the next part with a paint stick, or just pour it right on out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour it out at first. We'll do a little we're gonna pour out thicker ribbons now, right? These are quite a bit. They're probably double the thickness, and I'm doing less horseshoes. I'm just full pouring this out. And you don't have to take every line all the way. See how I stopped that short there? Just do what the heck you want, really, here, guys. And pull up some pieces of sandstone. I do that all the time. I'll like mimic something, or my customer says, can you make this stone? Yeah. I make a couple sample boards of it usually. But now that I have bigger ribbons, I can, I'll meld, but I'll keep them less. I won't make as much mud like I did before. So I've got more material. It'll be easier to keep it from making mud. I'm gonna keep my darker colors out for now. Next thing I'm gonna do is come in here just with my gloved hand and start melding these colors together just subtly. And all I'm doing is using the tips of my fingers. I'm not using my whole entire hand. I'm just skipping across this. And it's gonna blend like colors next to each other, keeping that striation going, but blending them just subtly. Take your time to grab from that tape dam, right? I come in and I pull back so you don't have a buildup of a weird look like right over here. I'll grab here and pull back. So that is pretty all by its dang self almost. Bring in some more white. The sandstones are really white and creamy. Very creamy. The more times you kind of layer and meld, it's gonna be more and more visual interest. And utilizing that skim milk where it brings in the clear, it can suspend some of those colors, make the colors peekaboo below. I've been using more and more skim milk in my finishes. Man, that's looking quite pretty already, and I haven't even used any of my darker colors yet. Let me grab a torch and I'll eliminate the air in this, because this could be a finish all on its own, really, at this point. That is so pretty. So simple. And I haven't used any isopropyl, nothing, just my gloved hand. So heat source eliminates a lot of these micro bubbles. Okay, that's pretty. Let's see what alcohol does. I'm gonna give me bigger droplets at first. So I spray a little bit into my gloved hand and I let bigger droplets hit my project, and then follow it with a finer mist of isopropyl alcohol. And that takes away some of the man-made look just with that little spray. How cool is that? Add some lacing and selling. Breaks away some of the man-made look, some of the little drizzles from my hand skipping. Initially look, I don't like that, but when you hit it with alcohol, fixes it for me in my mind. That is pretty right there, guys. This could be done. You could omit using any of those darker browns if you want, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna bring in some of, this is my lighter brown now. See what that amount does. And then we're gonna just meld that in. I like that. Ooh, yes, that's pretty. So making it quite translucent like that keeps you from letting it take it over, right? Oh my gosh, I love it. Even that darker spot below where I had some of the darker brown, let's blend this on top of it and get it like almost 3D look now. And when you re-hit your piece, guys, remember, whoops, almost dumped that. You're gonna incorporate more air and stuff. So you will have to hit it with your torch again. And you're also going to eliminate your selling. So if you like that look, you can come back and hit it. And it's even best to hit that later because the epoxy's thickening. And when it thickens, those cells can stay better, more defined. Now this is my more opaque brown. Remember the difference amounts I just used. I did a big old ribbon here and melded it. That's what that looks like. I did barely any, but watch how much more. See that can get it much darker. That's why I didn't want to just full send that. And you can also pick some up. Now it's on my fingers and I can bring it into smaller areas like that. A little too dark, so come back in with a cream. Bring that cream on there. I'm gonna be using those almost like my eraser now. See? Don't panic if you get your piece too dark. There's usually always a way out of it. It's pretty cool. Let's see what else, guys. I mean, it's looking pretty good. Just bring in a little more. Pretty. Golly, there's a lot going on here that I absolutely love. And I'm never, ever gonna pour a blob of resin in and not touch it. You gotta do something, unless it's a fracture vein. And I wouldn't usually pour that much. It just looks so man-made to me when you don't touch it after you pour in a vein. I'm gonna use the rest of this cream and we're gonna get rid of the air and this piece is done, guys. Drizzle out some lines if you want. I've made some pretty cool striated stones just by doing that. Like colors and randomly letting them drizzle and hit it with your hand. Let's do that with the rest of this. We got it mixed up, might as well use it. And I'm not caring that, see it's coming out rando. Big blobs, little guys. This actually kind of looks cool. And you kind of lay it and then this, like the curtain falls off. Now I'm gonna come in with just drizzle of the darker brown. That looks cool. And let it come off the stick. Give it a couple drizzles and now blend this. Because it's such a small amount. Oh yeah. It can add some cool darker accent without taking over. I like that. And I even like some of the wisps in there. Yep. Okay. Beautiful. Add some white into this guy and we're done. My little cream, I'll save. The skim white. And then you could save some and add some white back to it if you're low on that and you want to brighten up some areas. So let's do that right now. And bam. I'd like to always bring in a little white at the end because it can stay sharp. And then it sells so good with the alcohol. Cool, this piece is done. Get my hand cleaned off and then I'm gonna hit this with alcohol. Those are bigger droplets and then pull it a little bit more to atomize those droplets. And bam. All right guys, that is a wrap. I'm gonna stick around about an hour to an hour and 20 minutes to peel this tape down. Remember, the more epoxy you apply per square foot inside of that tape dam, the longer you can let that cure. Let it get thick, you have more mass to push that thickened epoxy over those edges, resulting in the high definition granite-like epoxy edges that everybody are going after. And use those gloved hands to wet down any dry areas. That way that epoxy flows right over that edge. Woo, that looks fire. This is gonna be our newest epoxy countertop finish kit at our website. So we'll leave everything we used in this project in the description below until that kit is created. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget, from Stone Coat Epoxy, you got this. You can do this. You can do this right over your old existing countertops for way less than any sort of other countertop option that you can DIY or that you pay for professionally. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think in the comments below.